Hello guys, this is Abhishek Panjani. Welcome to my YouTube channel. So in this video, we are going to discuss about some common mistakes which people make when they are appearing for their interviews. So I've appeared for interviews of 40 plus top tech based companies. This includes companies like Google, Amazon, Microsoft, Sprinklr, Intuit, DE Shaw, etc. So appearing for 40 plus interviews means that I have made 40 plus mistakes and I have 40 plus points to discuss with you regarding the mistakes which usually people make when they are appearing for their interviews. So in my previous videos, I have already discussed about the importance of coding rounds, about how to prepare for them, about the importance of computer science fundamentals, etc. So if you are new to this channel and you are watching my video for the first time, do refer to my previous videos for any further information regarding this. So in this video, I'm going to discuss about majorly all the mistakes that I made, that my friends make, because of which they were actually rejected from their interviews. So this video is basically a compilation of all the rejections that I have faced in the 2 years of interview process. So before we begin with the video, I will request you to kindly subscribe to my channel, because I can assure you that this channel will bring more such useful content to you. So go ahead and grab a pen and a paper so that you can note down certain important things that we are going to discuss in this video. I will request you to watch the video till the end because it will be super useful. And don't forget to share it with all your friends, because I want this video to reach as many people as possible so that you do not make those mistakes in your interviews. So let's begin with the video. So the first most important thing that I'm going to discuss about is the coding rounds. So when I actually started preparing for my interviews, so I didn't knew about the exact process that is followed in the interviews. What I did was I opened the site named Geeks for Geeks. I opened the link of must do company questions and I started practicing all the questions that were there in that link. So I solved around 300 to 400 problems in the duration of 2 months, and I thought that yes, I am quite prepared for the interviews and I am all set for my internship interviews. So this was actually not true. So the interview process basically is there is a round called coding round before you actually appear for the interviews. So this is the place where majorly students are actually screened out. So most of the people think that they are solving problems on Geeks for Geeks and they will get the same problem in their coding round. So let me make it very clear that in only 30 to 40% of the companies, you can expect a same problem that is written on Geeks for Geeks in your coding round. So the companies like Amazon, Microsoft and Samsung actually ask problems in their coding rounds that are directly picked from Geeks for Geeks or LeetCode, etc. But in majorly companies like DE Shaw, Intuit, Sprinklr, Adobe, Goldman, Coordination, DirectI, etc., you cannot expect a problem exactly picked from Geeks for Geeks and given to you in your coding round. The coding round is basically for analysis of your coding skills, your logical thinking, your problem solving ability. So the problem will not be like you have memorized the problem and you can write the code. The problem will be a modification of the existing data structures and algorithms. It will be a modification of the existing problem, but it won't be a direct problem. So most of the people actually face this mistake and they are not prepared for the coding rounds and they are completely rejected in the first round itself. So they have prepared for the interviews, but they are not able to reach the interviews because of this hindrance called coding rounds. So what are the difficulties which actually people face when they are appearing for the coding rounds? So the first difficulty that people actually face when they are appearing for their coding rounds is the pressure of timer ticking on your head. So when you are appearing for your coding round, then you will be given with around 3 to 4 data structures and algorithm based problems along with some technical and aptitude questions or MCQs, and you need to solve all this in a time duration of 60 to 90 minutes. So there are certain decisions which you need to make when you are appearing for a coding round. You need to decide which problem to pick, when to leave a problem, when to give a partial solution to the problem, and when to try for the complete solution to the problem. So these are certain decisions that you need to make when you are appearing for your coding round, and these decisions completely depend upon the timer ticking on your head. So most of the people are not able to handle this pressure and they are not used to work under a timer. So what they do is they are stuck on the first problem and they are stuck on this problem for the entire coding round. And what they find after the coding round is the second and the third problem were the easiest problem and no one was able to solve the first problem. So they completely wasted their time and they are not qualifying because they were stuck on the first problem for the entire coding round. So these are certain important decisions which you need to make when you are appearing for the coding rounds. So I have one of my friend, he's an excellent programmer and he is one of the best in our college. He is a 6-star coder on CodeChef and holds a 2000 plus rating on Codeforces. So he is one of the most brilliant coder of our college till yet, and he was rejected from his coding round and he was not able to clear the coding round because he was stuck in the problem named coin change. So it is a very standard dynamic programming problem and most of us will prepare this problem before our interviews, but he was stuck in some edge cases and wasn't able to solve the problem, because of which he was not able to clear the coding round. Currently, he is placed in Microsoft. He was able to get an internship and a pre-placement offer from Microsoft, and he holds the highest package in our college right now. So not able to solve a problem in the coding round does not mean that he was not capable of doing that. It means that he was not able to perform under pressure. He had excellent problem solving skills and he has proved his coding skills in multiple contests. He is a ICPC regionalist as well. So coding round is something that is actually neglected by most of the students, and this is the first mistake that people actually make. So whenever you are preparing for your interviews, the first thing is the preparation of the coding round. So you cannot prepare for your coding rounds in a single day or 2 days or maybe 10 days. It is a consistent thing. So the preparation for the coding round should start from very beginning. What I would advise you to do is participate in short contests. There are weekly contests that are held on LeetCode. So those contests are completely amazing and they try to simulate the exact atmosphere of the coding round of most of the companies. So this is something you must do. So keep a target that you have to participate in a contest daily. So if you are able to participate in 30-40 contests in the duration of 2 months, then you are prepared for the coding round. So never ever neglect this part, because this is the part where majorly students are screened out and this is the part where majorly students are actually stuck. So in my case, I was not prepared for the coding rounds much, but I was regular in short contests. My interest was competitive programming, so I used to participate in contests that were held on CodeChef and Codeforces. So that actually helped me in preparation of the coding rounds and I was able to get through the coding rounds of all the companies that I appeared for. So the next thing is the interviews. So solving a problem is one thing and presenting the solution to the interviewer is another thing. So if the interview was completely based on seeing your data structures and algorithm skills, then what is the point of having a face-to-face interview? They can just have 2 to 3 coding rounds and analyze your data structures and algorithm skills. So the interviewer also sees that whether you are able to present the things that are in your mind or not. So suppose you are given with a data structure and algorithm problem and you know the solution of the problem, and most of the people, what we do is we know the solution, we start writing the code. So this is the mistake which most of the people make when they are appearing for their first interviews. So there is a certain methodology that must be followed when you are actually tackling a problem in an interview. So the first thing is to discuss your approach to the interviewer. You cannot directly jump to the solution of the problem. First, discuss the approach with the interviewer and see whether he is convinced with the approach or not. So while you discuss your approach with the interviewer, you must make use of some examples so that the interviewer is actually able to understand what you are thinking, in which direction are you actually thinking, and if you are wrong, then interviewer will certainly try to help you. But for this, he need to understand what you are thinking. So if you make use of examples, it becomes easier for the interviewer to actually connect with you and understand the logic that you are discussing. So when you are actually done with discussing about your approach, the next thing should be to discuss about the time and space complexity of that approach. So this is the most important thing which actually people miss out in their interviews. So discussing about time and space complexity actually shows that you are thinking about different dimensions when you are discussing a solution. So you are not only thinking about solving the problem, you are thinking about solving the problem in the best way, in the optimal way. So now let's move to the code. So when you are writing a code on a pen paper or a Google Docs in your interview, most of the people, what we actually do is we make use of silly variable names like temp1, temp2, var1, var2. So suppose you are solving a problem and it is around 80 to 100 lines of code, and there you are using the variable names like temp1, temp2, temp3, temp4, temp5 and so on. So imagine you are given with this code and you have to understand this code. Will you be able to understand this code? So it is actually not possible to like analyze such a code. So always try to write a code that is actually understandable. Make the code modular, write functions wherever possible. Make use of relevant variable names. This actually helps the interviewer understand the code. So this is the most important part, and this is the most common mistake which people actually make, that they focus on solving the problem, not presenting the solution. So now you have written with the solution, you have discussed about the time and space complexity, and the next step is to give the solution to the interviewer and ask him whether it is correct or not. So most of the people, when they finish with writing the code, they directly jump to the interviewer saying that yes, I have completed the code and you can check the code. So this is one common mistake which actually people make. There are chances of typing mistake, or there are chances of spelling errors. There are chances that you have missed a semicolon. There are chances that you have missed a braces, or there may be some mistake in the logic of the code. So what I would advise you to do is take 2 minutes of time, ask the interviewer that I am done with the code and I need just 2 minutes to read out the code so that I can ensure that the code is completely correct. So read out the code in your mind, try to dry run some of the test cases in your mind and see whether the code is actually working or not. Try to find out as many mistakes as possible before you actually say that the code is done, and before actually the interviewer jumps into the code and tries to find the mistake. So if interviewer finds out some mistake in the code, then it gives a negative impact to you. So in one of my interviews, I was given with the basic problem of reversing a linked list. I knew the solution, so I wrote the code for the problem. So while writing the code, I made a small mistake. So there were two lines, line 1 and line 2. I wrote them in the opposite direction. So the code was not working and it was giving a segmentation fault. And after writing the code, I said the interviewer that I am done with the code. So interviewer actually asked me to run the test cases, and the code actually failed when I was discussing it with the interviewer. And obviously I was rejected from that round and from that company. So before you actually present the solution, do dry run it once. So now how to actually explain your solution or your code to the interviewer. So when you are explaining your code to the interviewer, always make use of examples, because obviously examples helps us understand the things. So if you are explaining something with examples, then it will have a better impact and the interviewer will actually be able to relate to you. So when you are dry running a test case, so try to write the important things that you are discussing about the code. So let's take an example. So suppose I am writing a 100 line of code and I am explaining it to you. So if I am explaining this, like suppose we have a variable, it takes a value 100. After first iteration, it becomes 200. After second iteration, it becomes 300. I add this to map, and then my map contains 2 entries. And so suppose I am explaining a code like this, you won't be able to understand a single word about the code. So instead of explaining it like this, like I write it on paper, like iteration 1, the map entry would be this and the value of the variable is this. After iteration 2, the value of the variable is this and the entry that is made in map is this. So if I am writing this on a paper or on Google Docs, then the interviewer actually able to understand. So the most important thing is solving the problem and explaining the solution to the interviewer, because if the interviewer is convinced, then only you are proceeding for the final round and then only you are getting the offer. By just solving the problem and not able to present that problem, you are not going ahead and you are certainly going to be rejected in that case. So I have faced many rejections based on this, and I would request you to like follow these tips, because this will certainly help you get through the interview. So the next mistake that actually people make is they actually neglect the importance of computer science fundamentals. So this is one mistake that I actually made. So I thought that data structures and algorithms is the major thing that is required, and this is the most important thing because this will be asked in the coding rounds. So I thought that I will be studying about the computer science fundamentals in the end. So I kept the last 5 days for the preparation of computer science fundamentals and rest 55 days for the preparation of data structures and algorithms. So this was the mistake that I made, because the companies visited our campus 5 days before the expected time and I wasn't able to prepare for the computer science fundamentals. So I was rejected from companies like DShaw, Arcesium, Intuit in the final round, and the only reason was computer science fundamentals. I was able to solve all the problems. I was able to clear the coding round. I was able to give the answers to all the problems in the interview except the problems that were based on computer science fundamentals. I was not able to answer basic questions like what is virtual function, what are the basic conditions of deadlock, what are the basic conditions of process synchronization. So despite of solving all the problems in the coding round as well as in the interview, I wasn't able to clear the interviews because of the computer science fundamentals. So this is something that you should not neglect. So I made a separate video in which I have discussed about the computer science fundamentals, their importance, and some resources that you can refer in order to study for the computer science fundamentals. So you can simply refer to that video and do prepare this part as well, because this is the most neglected part and this is the part which actually leads to the rejection in the interviews. So I don't want you to be rejected because of this part like me, and so please don't leave this part. So the next important thing is to keep calm when you are appearing for your interview. Most of the people actually panic when they are appearing for their first interviews. So suppose you are given with a problem and you are not able to solve this problem, and basically the candidate thinks that the interview is over now and he won't be able to proceed further because he was not able to solve the first problem. So let me make it very clear that it is not the case. So if you are not able to solve the first problem and you are given with the second problem, you are able to solve that. You are given with the third problem, you are able to solve that. Then you are clearing the interview. So don't get panicked in the interview. Even if you are not able to solve a problem, then keep your mind calm. Try to solve the second problem. Try to solve the third problem. So this is the most important thing when you are appearing for your interview. So the next thing is overconfidence. So most of the people, when they code for 2 to 3 years and they are quite good at competitive programming and they are holding good ranks and ratings in CodeChef and Codeforce, so they think that they would be able to get through the interview and interview won't be a tough deal for them. So let me tell you very clearly that I was a good competitive programmer. I held 5 stars on CodeChef. I was 1800 plus on Codeforces before my interviews, and I was rejected from first 8 companies. And I am not the only one who was rejected. I have seen many people who were not able to get through the coding round and they were excellent competitive programmers. So don't be overconfident. So you should always avoid to keep this attitude. So when you are appearing for your interviews, you should have a learning attitude. So you should be ready to face rejections. You should be ready to fall. You should be ready to get up, learn, and grow. Every interview experience is a new experience and every interview is different from the previous interview. So always be ready to learn and never ever be overconfident about the interviews. So the next most important tip that I would like to give is to face the rejections with positivity. So obviously rejection is something that is very difficult to deal with. So as you know that I was rejected from first 8 companies I appeared for and during my internship days, and I was rejected from Coordination on 5 different occasions. So I completely know about the rejections and I know how it feels when you are actually rejected. So during my internship, my schedule was like I was rejected on a day and I used to reach home at 10 in the night, and again in the morning at 6 I used to get up and go for my next interview. And this was continued for 8 long days. And all those nights I was thinking that why actually I am rejected and why I am not able to cope up with this. So the important thing when you're talking about rejections is to take the rejections in a very positive manner. So you should try to learn from each and every rejection. Most of the people are actually demotivated because of the rejections. So I would like to tell you that every interview is a new experience. Every day is a new day and you should learn from your previous mistakes. Try not to repeat them and give your best shot in the next interview. You should take the interview process as a learning curve and not a depression curve. So all you need to do is keep trying, keep improving and keep learning. So that's the motive behind this video and behind the interview process. So I think this video is a little bit longer and I have told you about many things regarding the interview process and many mistakes that I and some of my friends actually made when they are appearing for their interviews. So keep a note of it and I would request you to not repeat those mistakes and give your best shot for the interviews. and take each and every rejection in a very positive way. So I think that's all for this video. I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you enjoyed the content, and especially for this video, I request you to share this video with all your friends, because I don't want anyone to make the mistakes that I made in my interview process. So do share it with all your friends, and if you are new to my channel, don't forget to subscribe to my channel. And if you have any doubts, you can simply message me on LinkedIn or leave a comment in the comment section, and I will certainly try to answer all your queries regarding the interview preparation. So thank you guys. Hope you enjoyed the video, and okay, bye bye.